everybody. Welcome to our, it's a 2/2/2020 on a Tuesday meeting. I don't know that we'll ever get to say that again. So just want to welcome and open the meeting. We have 4 trustees present. We have a quorum with Eric Fong, Gina Steiner, Sue Whitford, and myself. With that, Gina, would you like to read the mission statement?
Sure. Kitsap Regional Library, inspiring our community to dream more, learn more, do more, and be more.
Thank you. Jason, do you have any introductions this evening of particular staff or guests you'd like to make note of?
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. Good evening, everybody. I am happy to be here. I'm Jason Driver, Director of Kitsap Regional Library. No introductions this meeting, no special guests other than the usual cast of characters here, which is a leadership team. You'll all hear from them shortly, but I just wanted to say thank you for letting me be a part of this merry band, and I'm excited to start my career here at KRL. It's been almost 4 weeks now, and you'll hear about more of that later in my report.
Yeah, great. We're so happy. We're so happy to have you here, and 4 weeks have gone quickly.
They have.
Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
There are none.
Great. On the matter of public comment, the Board of Trustees does welcome public comment. We did receive one request for public comment, which we did assign to correspondence, and the reason why we did that is that the topic that Ms. Olivia Rose Muzzy wanted to cover was one that she actually covered last month. In fact, some portions of her public comment were in fact duplicated. And while we welcome that comment and really think that's important in terms of having that sort of engagement, we want it to help inform us as we go forward. So we wanted to talk about that a little bit. The board did, wants to acknowledge the comment both on her past and present practices as it relates to public access with the board. And we want to acknowledge the significant effort that she really put forth, both in January as well as in February in outlining those, as well as some suggestions for future consideration. Her comments actually built on another public comment received earlier in December from Mr. Doug Heyman, who also submitted correspondence about public access and the interest in live transcription. We're grateful to both of those community members for submitting that. We know that their interest represents others' interests as well. And we wanted individuals to also know that we, in fact, are considering issues related to public access, not only for the different merits of suggestions that have been put forward. So we've asked the staff to help kind of vet some of those in terms of the various merits of those particular suggestions, but also how we might need to think about and manage different things we might commit to going forward. We're in a virtual format at this point in time. We hope that at some point in time that we can return to an in-person format, or certainly maybe a hybrid format. So we really need to think things through and think about what is it that once we start to implement something that we can carry that forward. So we look forward to bringing that back for a future discussion at a future meeting when we've had time to do the due diligence on that. So again, I want to thank Ms. Muzzy for presenting that, and to let others know on the meeting that individuals can read her comments in full. They will be attached to the meeting in their entirety. So if people want to see those, they certainly can do that. With that, we are moving on to the consent agenda. We have 3 items in the consent agenda this month, including the minutes of our January 25th regular board meeting, as well as payment of bills, both the regular bills as well as payroll and benefits, as well as the standard surplusing of library materials from the collection. When I see that item in particular, I'm always in awe at the volume of materials that must be in play when we see that number of items that then are surplused. So with those items, are there any questions about any of those? Do we need to take it off for discussion, or we can entertain a motion from a member of the trustees to accept the consent agenda as submitted?
I move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Is there a second? Good. Start. Were you waiting for me, Eric? I saw your mic go off.
Yeah, I was waiting. I was waiting to be prompted.
You were waiting for the prompt. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Great. That we can move to the regular presentations and reports. We're starting with members of the board. Is anybody want to comment on activities they may have taken up since our last meeting in support of the library?
I just want to say that I met with the branch manager who's taking over for Tommy Whalen at Little Boston, Leanne, and just briefly introduced myself to her and said hi, and we familiarized ourselves with one another. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Important.
I have not done anything since the last meeting, so I apologize.
Did you make it to the Friends meeting?
Yes, I did attend a friends meeting, and there is the BPL meeting, and BPL is planning their annual outing to discuss priorities, long-term planning in mid-March. So I'm planning on attending.
Great. I spent some time, actually, well, kind of when I was on vacation last week, but was looking at the offerings of the Washington Library Association and noting that there's an educational session coming up. So I've reached out to Tammy about whether that's something the board can take advantage of. There is not any particular detail. There's a schedule out there, but there's not a lot of detail yet as to what will be included in that conference. So look forward to sharing that with members of the board. Earlier, there was a strategic and long-range planning committee report. Eric or Gina, do you want to follow up and share?
Yeah, I'm happy to share a couple of updates. Shannon shared that, as we know, the mask mandate is across the state is being lifted, target March 21st, but KRL is still discussing with employees, making sure that everybody's comfortable, making sure that everybody's doing their due diligence, everybody's heard regarding their safety, because this doesn't just affect the employees, this affects families as well. So discussions being had, making sure everybody is safe and comfortable. Shannon also shared the Book Lockers pilot program, which was made possible through a grant via IMLS, the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences. The target to launch the Book Lockers is in June, and the first location will be the Paulsbo Library. So that will be an exciting program to see come together. Additionally, new Silverdale Library target opening is April 2nd. So we got to hear about some of the pieces that are being planned regarding the opening program, and some of the items of construction that are pending that could affect the tentative opening date. But April 2nd, that's what we're aiming for. Additionally, looking forward to a DEI plan led by Lucretia for diversity, equity, inclusion being circulated. So really excited to have an opportunity to participate in that and be an example. So really a wonderful update today, and that's it for me.
Stephanie, can I ask a quick question about one of those items? The mask mandate for Kitsap Regional Library, will that be dependent on the Kitsap Public Health Department and what is determined here, or if individual cities still have any mask mandates, will the individual libraries have to fall under those city rules, or how will that work? Shannon, I don't know if you're the right one to ask that question to.
Yeah, I can jump in on that. So, interestingly, in the infographic from the state, libraries are called out as one of the first items as here's a place where you'll no longer need a mask on March 21st. So they were pretty preemptive in state messaging around that with that infographic and some of their messaging. They have maintained that there could be local reasons for local health departments to maintain their own or create their own mandates. But from everything that I've seen from public health district and just watching our numbers decrease pretty rapidly, I'm expecting that we'll probably be in alignment with the state on this one.
Okay, thank you very much.
That public health will be in alignment with the state, I should say.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Shannon. That's really interesting that they called libraries out on that.
Yes, it was. I was a little surprised by that. Thanks.
Were you raising your hand? No.
I was just waving at someone. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions about the Strategic Planning Committee meeting in the report? Well, that leads us right into the financial report by Mr. Dan Fair.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all through this evening. We don't have a lot to report in January. January's not a big month. It's not a big month for revenue. It's not too big a month for expenditures. But I did want to point out that of our 1.3 million spent in expenditures in January, 70% is now done by electronic fund transfer or ACH. So we are really working towards cutting down the costs associated by creating a check. So I'm pretty impressed by that we've been able to make that progress, and we continue to work on that with our vendors. But any questions on the financial report?
I made a couple of notes, Dan. So in the item number 1, when we talk about recruitment and selection, is that because some of the expenses related to the library director visits, those?
Yes. Those are included in that, yes.
Great. And are all those completed at this point?
Yes, as far as I know. I don't think there's anything else out there outstanding. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I'm not aware that anything else is coming through. And then I just thought it was interesting, the note, item number 5 around private security services for downtown Bremerton, Sylvan Way, and Port Orchard. Do you want to talk to that a little bit? Because it looks like, 1, we have it, and 2, it's more than budgeted.
Yeah, well, yes, and we've been continuing this service that we've had for a while during the pandemic. First, because we were not at full service levels, and so we needed sweeps done at night, and then we also have added some sweeps during the day at some of our branches to deal with issues that the staff are dealing with patrons, and so I don't expect that to continue on forever as we transition out of the pandemic, but dealing with mask issues with our patrons has sometimes been challenging. And so we've enlisted some services for helping us with that and helping our staff deal with that.
Yeah, great. Great. My other question or comment, and I know we kind of suspended this stuff during the pandemic too, was on the revenue in terms of printing and copy and other expenses that are budgeted, but we're not yet recovering. Is that expected to return as we go forward?
That's something we'll be working on in the next few months on the most effective way to do that and most efficient way to do that. Okay. But I expect it to come back in some sort of format.
Great. Anybody else got any questions about the finance report? Thank you, Dan. You always accept to go through and look at the notes, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good. Now we're on to the library director's report, Jason.
Thanks, Stephanie. Good evening again. Jason Driver, Library Director of Kitsap Regional. And my report's been posted, and I just would give you a couple of highlights. So started my career February 1st and really want to take this time to acknowledge all of the help that I've been given from the team assembled here, including Tammy, Jeannie, Dan, Mike, Kwang, Kirsten, Lucretia, Shannon, Wendy. They've been really phenomenal and really helping me to get acclimated to the organization. So my time, the first 3+ weeks, have been really spent anchoring myself here at Kitsap Regional Library. So I'll give you a little bit of a snapshot of what that's been involved at. Day 2 kind of started right away leading leadership team and sort of getting to know the processes and getting to know the wonderful staff here and really sort of developing our meeting format and our meeting cadence. And it's also been spent getting to know branch staff. And so my plan has been all along in the first 30 days to try to meet every member of this organization through either one-on-one meetings and or visits. And so I've made a good start on that, visiting Sylvan Way, downtown, Bremerton, Port Orchard, Manchester, and Bainbridge Island, meeting with those managers. Got my library card at Sylvan Way, which of course I should do since I'm physically housed in this location. And then really just getting to know all the staff from, my philosophy of management is very, approachable. I want staff to know that they can come to me if they have an issue, in that, everybody's important, from the members of this leadership team to the custodians who, help keep our facilities nice and tidy. My goal is to try to meet every member of this organization. And so far off to a good start. This week I'll hit Kingston, Little Boston, as well as Silverdale, the old location. We know the new Silverdale will be hopefully opening on April 2nd. That information will be talked about a little later in our reports, and then visiting the Paulsville Library. And so really, it's been a fast study in how Kitsap Regional Library works. As most of you know, I come from a large library system after working and managing in Chicago for the better part of 20 years. So, one of the things I've noticed about this organization is that it's a small library system that has a lot going on. So, no 2 days have been the same. I've been in here early and leaving late, and I'm in my office now, as you can see. And so I'm really excited to continue to root myself into everything that is Kitsap Regional, including the culture of all the regions on the peninsula and outside of the peninsula. And I've had an opportunity to do some visits with my family too, because the work not only is every day, but it continues through the weekend, getting to know each region, getting to know the people in it, and really rooting myself into what's involved in Kitsap culture. So, my time is spent doing that and leading in place. So I'm really excited that I've had really good learning opportunities. And as a leader, I have to be a learner first. And so my time will be spent learning and leading. And it's just a phenomenal staff. And I can't wait to come to work every day. And, I always say, if you don't love something, you should leave it. And I love libraries and hope to be around here for a long, long time. Our family's made our home here. My wife has gotten her library card here. We're immersed in the school systems here, and we love it so far. I just really want to publicly acknowledge all of the frontline staff, too, who make Kitsap Regional Library what it is. They've been really instrumental in making me feel welcome. Staff are coming up to me every day, introducing themselves to me, and, very fast, this has become my home. And, besides some family back home, I don't miss Chicago one bit. Definitely don't miss the weather. So I'm really happy to be aboard, and I can't wait for many, many more meetings like this and all the work that comes in between. And the last thing I'll say is that the real work is done in between the meetings. I've said this to our leadership team. We're going to meet. We're going to have a lot of meetings. We're going to be in forums like this, but the real work happens in between the meetings, and I can't wait to do that. And I can't wait to, continue our, future here. And so I'm really grateful to the Board of Trustees for also making me feel welcome and, giving me a platform to be able to help lead this library system with you. And so there are many great days ahead for Kitsap Regional Library, and I'm really happy and honored to be a part of this system going forward. Thank you. Any questions?
Questions for Jason?
Promise you'll have more meat and potatoes for the next reports for subsequent months.
Well, the meat and potatoes at this point is simply getting out and about, which you've done an amazing job in connecting with people, and that's where the boots on the ground has to happen. So I'm impressed. We know that you've also just enjoyed being out and driving around and getting to know our region. And I thought of you. I went out to the mailbox and there was a flake of snow as I went out. So I thought that was for you. So.
Yeah, there was a light dusting on my car, and it was also chilly. It's the first day I've actually put on an overcoat. So, between 40 and 50 is really warm to me this time of year. So, I'm sure the staff here have often seen me just, walking around in my suit jacket and then maybe a skull cap just coming to and from my car. So this makes it feel more like home. And so I don't want any more of feeling like home. So this is about all I'll take right now.
Thank you. Good. All right. On to, I am going to go back and make one note that I
Sure.
to make. And Jason, this is really regarding the public access and public comments. So we're going to note in some follow-up, we have seen where a couple of our meetings, in fact, have been recorded and posted on YouTube. We are going to take those down only because you can't record people without their knowledge. And again, we're going to be looking at these issues and doing the due diligence, but just wanted to know that we discovered those out there today, and that we will be taking those down only because they were not recorded internally and they were not recorded using state law around letting people know that they're being recorded. So just wanted to know that.
Thank you.
Dee, do you want to lead off the administrative reports today?
I sure can do that. I know that we've said this twice already this evening, but our tentative, everything goes perfect, opening day for Silverdale is April 2nd. And just to expand on that, that is 38 days, 15 hours, and 4 minutes away. And I just want to share a little bit more about that opening day. So we are looking to open the branch that day at 10 a.m. We will have just a very brief program. We do want to make sure that we're out there acknowledging all of the hard work that has gone into this building. And we also recognize that we will have a crowd of patrons anxious and excited to get in the building and really enjoy the many years of work that have gone into making that building happen. So the program will start at 10. We'll hopefully have the building open within 15 to 20 minutes after that. There's going to be lots of fun little giveaways. I think I gave you a sneak peek of some of the things that our designer, Ayana Jones, has really been working hard on. Some great stickers. We have some pom-poms that are going out to patrons that day, and just hoping to have a really lively and exciting opening day on April 2nd. Additionally, we do have a preview event happening on March 31st, just before that, which is going to be an opportunity to thank those that have really contributed to making that building possible, and just giving them kind of a sneak peek before we open the doors. So that is everything I have to share this evening. I'm open for questions.
Put myself on mute because the cat was meowing. Any questions for Jeannie? Thank you. We know that's a big event to plan, Jeannie. So our fingers are crossed that April 2nd remains the date and that the planning continues and we all get to celebrate at that point. Shannon?
Hi, everyone. I am really excited to celebrate a staffing change in public services. Beth Steinbach, who was previously a library assistant at our Sylvan Way location, has accepted the position and started as our public services supervisor. Beth brings amazing background in community networking and leading volunteers. She's brought kids up through the school system, worked as an educator with Bremerton School District. So she's just one of those people that it's like such a gift to have in our internal bench in this position. Just is perfect. I'm so excited. I know the Sylvan Way team is so excited to have her in place, and I'm really grateful to see and excited to see what she'll do in this position, and really excited for Bert to hopefully finally take some time off. It's been a long process to get Beth in place, and I'm just really excited that he and the team will have the support that they need moving forward. So yay for Beth.
Great opportunity for somebody internally as well.
Absolutely.
Any questions for Shannon? Kristen? HR?
Hi, good evening. We're a busy department still. My report stands as written. If there are any questions, please let me know. I don't have anything else to add to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I have a few highlights that I want to share. So I wanted to provide an update in terms of the CTS manager position. We have the interview scheduled for this Thursday, which is just phenomenal because the Thursday was the only day that was available from the panel. And we had just met with Caitlin and the panel last Friday just to talk about who we wanted to interview. That meeting ended like around 1:30. And by the end of the day, Caitlin had all of the interviews lined up. So just can't thank Caitlin enough for that. Because if we didn't hit this Thursday, it would have meant that basically we would have to wait until 2 weeks later for everyone to be available again. So just turned out really, really great. I'm looking forward to the interviews on Thursday. The other thing that I wanted to mention is the firewall replacement that the IT team did. Believe it or not, but this is actually the second firewall that we put in since I've been here. But this new firewall, it really sort of kind of opens up for a few things in the future. So it's solid enough in terms of the spec where if we wanted to increase our data line in the future, it could support the additional bandwidth. And also, I think Liz mentioned in the report in terms of how it's a high availability setup with two firewalls that actually sort of kind of act as redundant to each other. So this basically also allows us to, if we choose to add a second redundant internet line, and obviously, we're on a hosted voice over IP phone system now. We've moved over a lot of services from on-premise to the cloud. So that's probably something for us to sort of kind of explore and think about, and if we want to do that, we're ready for it in terms of our firewall is concerned. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. All right, thank you.
I understood about half of what you said from the times, but I was watching Sue and Eric, so I know it's all good in that particular area. Mike Rose.
Well, good evening, everybody. Happy to see everyone and hope everybody's having a good day. The facilities report this month is really more of a look ahead than a report on things that we've accomplished so far. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that we are, the report is looking at it provides a tentative timeline for the major capital work that's coming to Sylvan Way. We will be in the future weeks, we will be fine tuning that and working to communicate with staff on potential impacts that work will have on the workspace at Sylvan Way. So more to follow on that. And then I provided just kind of a list of items that are on the radar for facilities this year. That's not an all-encompassing list. That's just some of the items that are drawing our attention right now, and things that we'll be working on in the weeks and months to come. So that's my report for the evening.
Thank you. We noted also in Jason's report that the two of you have been aligned and certainly looking at what the needs are going forward. So we'll look forward to hearing more about that.
Absolutely. I look forward to developing our future facilities master plan with Mr. Driver. So it's going well.
Wendy?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just have a couple of things I want to highlight. So just making sure you saw, on Thursday this week, we will say goodbye to our administrative assistant, Kelly Eastman, who's been with us for a number of years now. And we're sad to see her go, but excited for her new adventure. So we will not be immediately posting that. We want to kind of get through the opening of the new Silverdale Library before we move into a training journey, if you will. So with that, our current focus as we kind of move into the next month and a half, if you will, is really working with Jeannie and her team and supporting the library in the opening, as well as, of course, wrapping up our campaign. So that's my update. Any questions?
Wendy, it looked like the foundation is so very close to meeting the goal for the campaign. We all know that last 100,000 can be the hardest 100,000 in the entire campaign. It looks like you have a couple of options still out there in play.
We do. So we have not had any word yet on those, and we're beginning to explore. They're taking so long, so we're exploring some other opportunities as well as we move into the next couple of weeks. So yeah, we're hoping ideally that we would be able to close this up with one or two, but because the trickle in is not gonna be as effective, right? Well, it will eventually be effective. It won't be as efficient.
That's true. Thank you. Any more questions for Wendy? Good. Lucretia.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone is well. I am going to provide a brief overview of what was captured in the preliminary plan. I want to first say it's come to my attention that the plan did not make it out in time. I did not send the plan out in time to be posted or shared with you. And so I'll work with Tammy to remedy that. So I want to apologize for that. I would love for you to have something to kind of look at. I could share my screen, but it's a lot of words, and we know it'll take away from the moment. The second thing is I shared out the draft preliminary plan with staff today with the understanding that everyone would lay their eyes on it, and that's not the case. And I also didn't capture on the plan that it says draft or preliminary. So I want to make that clear for all of us here that it's a preliminary document. It still needs to be reviewed by the board. It still needs to get input and guidance from trustees and leadership team. It still needs to get feedback from staff. So there's still some elements that need to be included. But it's a pretty, someone's talking.
Lucretia, I apologize. The DEI plan, the priorities 2022 was posted.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So
okay.
That was my bad.
Shifting energy, feeling good. Okay. So the plan is out there for you to see. I've also shared it with staff. So we're aware that there's work to be done there. Very quickly, let me share just a few notes. I am reading from my document here. So I won't see you if you are signaling me. So very quickly, the priorities that have been captured in this plan, pretty high level, are 5 priorities around leadership and board development, equitable and inclusive policies, as well as policy making, a supportive, respectful, and welcoming culture. Priority number 4 is around engagement, community, and outreach partners. And number 5, equitable and accessible communications and engagement strategies. This plan actually, although it's still in the draft and the preliminary stage, is work that in its current state, I think signifies the importance of the investment of time and effort and skills and other resources that we'll need to put into this work. In my email to staff, I wanted to be sure to capture that there is work happening now prior to the development of this plan. You know, we have staff who are very engaged in ensuring that the library is not only accessible, but equitable, that it's an inclusive space. And so in my notations today to staff, I wanted to point out that there is work happening with CTS and IT and public services and branch managers and librarians and human resources and staff individually that should be acknowledged and recognized as part of this work going forward. So our next steps look like I've scheduled some drop-in sessions for staff to come at any time to give me their thoughts and responses to the document. I definitely want to hear different perspectives. Sometimes the idea sounds good in your head and you've heard enough thoughts that you are convinced it's a good idea, and you know there's other perspectives to consider. I will also be looking for feedback from leadership team, so I don't know what that will look like, if we'll be having conversations or if that'll be one-on-one. Either way, I'm open to it. We'll be doing that as well. And then, of course, I'm looking for feedback, thoughts, responses from the Board of Trustees, and I will also offer from the Foundation Board. So looking to hear how this information lands, what are some things we need to be thinking about, how should we be dividing up the work and all of that. I will offer that in the board report and in the plan. Hopefully I was clear to say that this is not a one-year plan or a two-year plan. This is going to take some work and some time. What I didn't capture in my report, and I'll end here, is to say that this work will involve not only some transactional efforts, but also some transformative work as well. And when I say transactional, what I'm saying is that there might be some near-term wins that won't entirely change any of our deeper structures, but will be necessary in order to work towards repair with our community and maybe even with our staff, and to create opportunities for deeper conversations. And then, of course, the transformative work that's really about creating sustainable and deeper shifts in organizational culture. So you'll see both in our work ahead. And I'm excited, and I hope you're excited too. Well, let me be a little bit more transparent. I'm a little bit scared, and I'm excited. So I hope that all of you are excited too. Thank you for this opportunity. If you have any questions, you know, let me know, email me, or I'm available to answer questions.
I know, and you've done you and members of the team have done a lot of work leading up till this point to get to here. And I know that you did a lot of listening sessions as well. We heard about those at different trustee meetings, and I was wondering, I mean, from a perspective of being able to go through this in a lot of detail, is it going to be possible to kind of at least have some summary findings of what's sitting in behind this plan? Because we know that you need to certainly protect the specific feedback of people, but I don't know that we've ever actually fully seen sort of a summary of, you know, what has been the findings to date, and because that helps inform why are these priorities chosen over something else. So I think I talked with Jason a little earlier today about what form the Board of Trustees review might take and the discussion might take, but I would certainly hope that when we make time to do that, we get some of that broader information to put context around this as well.
Definitely, yes. You're absolutely correct about including, giving it context, right, so that we have a better picture of what we're talking about. And that is something that I intended to include in a final version of the plan. It definitely can be added sooner. And I will say this, well, two things. I had a leadership team member, anyway, in a conversation around the plan. And one of the things that I noted was that I over the last few weeks and few months have been kind of struggling with this tension of what should it look like? Does it have to look a certain way? And I want to make sure I get something out, right? I keep saying, I'm going to get something, I'm going to get something. It's important to me for staff to see and to know that what we've talked about, like what we've captured on paper, is getting out. Like people are seeing that. So I will definitely work on getting context to the entire board and to leadership team, right? We all need that, and to staff as well. And the other thing I wanted to mention before I forget is the equity team has been pretty phenomenal in helping me to focus and to think about different elements and different perspectives. And I want to make sure to note that in this conversation, the equity team has been very helpful. I think phenomenal is the best word in helping to pull this together.
It's a lot to think about, but you're also creating something that's historic in so many respects. So it's worthy considerations as we go forward in terms of, well, certainly for our discussion and information. I know you're up to your elbows in it, as are others in the library, so they may have a better sense of the context. We don't necessarily, but then these are the kinds of documents that you look to 10 years later to see where were we and how far have we come, hopefully, in that time. So really great work. Any other questions for Lucretia or comments?
I welcome any guidance. Definitely, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Any guidance, advice on how best to shape it, because different eyes will land on it, and that's important to meet the needs of those people, those who are reading and viewing the document.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. Lucretia and her team, the equity team, have done a phenomenal job on this document. And I think for a plan as integral as this is for our organization, there's a lot of work yet still to be done. But I think Lucretia's laid the framework for what will be, a sort of a guiding principle for us at KRL, and will be in lockstep with our strategic plan. And there are a lot of things that have to fall in place, a new HR director being hired and so forth and so on, a training director. And all these things have to, work in concert with those positions in order to make this happen. And to Lucretia's point, and to your point, Stephanie, this has to be run through staff. We need to figure out where we are, where we have been on equity in the past, in order to figure out where we can move forward. We talked a bit about this in our strategic and long-range planning meeting, about the importance of getting this out in front of various community members, and making sure we don't leave anyone out. And so it's a really, phenomenal work. The team has really been intentional about creating a document that will, definitely live on. And we talked about in our leadership team too, we just don't want to just have a document to have a document, right? Yeah. So sometimes you have, strategic plans, and you have DI plans like this. And Eric talked about this earlier. He's been a part of organizations where they're there, but it's just because we needed to do one. We don't need to do a DEI plan just to do one. We need to do one because, it has meaning and it guides our principles and how we, act in every facet of this organization. So everyone publicly acknowledge Lucretia. She's done phenomenal work. We've just had one-on-one so far, and we've gone through what her priorities are, and she's sharp, and it's going to be phenomenal. And we're going to overuse that word phenomenal in this group because it is, and until we can find other words to use. But I'm really excited to move forward with this, and we'll certainly take it to all of our teams, and we'll bring it back to leadership. And so really excited about that, and thank you, Lucretia.
Well, I think one of the things, just too, from my vantage point currently in the community, that I think is important to note is not only are the KRL team leading this work internal to KRL, and I know I just have a light go off here, but really you're helping to create this dialogue in the community. Excellent. I mean, I've seen you represent at several different community organizations. I'm struck. It's not just Lucretia. I've seen others. But I'm really proud of the work that the staff are doing in many areas of community. Shannon's team is out there doing work, I think, that is also not traditional library services, if you will, but out there in the community. So it is phenomenal work, and really do appreciate it and look forward to continued learning for all of us, actually.
Thank you, Lucretia. I actually, during the strategic and long range planning meeting, Gina had mentioned something. I wanted to see if Gina wanted to. She offered to participate in this as well. And so, Gina, I thought what you said was really great. So, we'd love to, if you're comfortable, would love to give you the floor to say what you said in the long range planning meeting earlier.
Oh, I just offered to be a volunteer to help facilitate any kind of discussion between the tribes, the two tribes in the county. I have connections and relations with both. And so I just want to be a resource and be available and help facilitate any collaboration that you want to consider or be a part of this. So this is a lot of work. It's very ambitious and very exciting, and I look forward to spending more time looking at it. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Yeah, I will, if I can, take advantage of that. I do have meetings or time scheduled with Robin, but I welcome that. Yeah, any leadership guidance or assistance is very much appreciated.
Great. Well, thank you. It's always super informative and lots of great work happening in the library for sure. Moving on to item 8, correspondence we noted earlier. There is no old business. There is no new business. And so we'll close out with housekeeping items. We have the future meeting date of the Board of Trustees is March 22nd, preceded by a Finance Committee meeting. A foundation, their next meeting is Tuesday, March 8th. Now, Wendy, I know we have Eric who's really serving in both capacities, but is there a desire to continue to have any crossover as we did before, other than Eric, to kind of be a guest at your meeting? Or
I would imagine Eric would appreciate, and as would I, any trustees attending our board meeting to share a report and be engaged with our board as well. So,
absolutely.
Yes.
And likewise, the other way, Wendy, as well, to the extent you have foundation board members, because I think the alignment of these two entities, and we also discussed, I know Eric is regularly interacting with BPL, and I know Sue has, but I certainly would look forward to some interaction with friends groups in my area of service, and where we can get connected. It'd be great to do that. And the other item of note, just to keep track of other events happening, is to look on the Kitsap Regional Library webpage. And there's been lots of great things happening, including activities in support of Black History Month and other things as well. So, any other items of note before we close out the meeting? Thank you, everybody. Jason, welcome. Your very first trustee meeting in your official role. We're glad to have you. This is probably the shortest trustee meeting that you'll probably have. So enjoy it, I guess.
Yeah, it gives us all a bit of time to get back with our families. Thank you. I want to also just publicly thank everyone again, all the frontline staff and all of the leadership groups within KRL for really making me feel welcome. I've been a part of, I think, almost every group right now, and so it's been really impactful, and I've learned a lot. I also want to just publicly acknowledge our labor management partners who I've met with on 2 different occasions, and have, really looking forward to rolling up my sleeves and getting to work with them to continue to make Kitsap Regional Library one of the best places in the country to work for libraries. So I didn't want to let this meeting pass without acknowledging them, because they're an important part of what makes this go, and really advocate for the safety and welfare of every employee that works for KRL. So looking forward to continued meetings and continued partnerships. And our library is a partnership. And so I just want us all to know that from the top down and from the bottom up, we're all a partnership. So do know that we intend to work together, and we will work together to make KRL continue to make it what it is. So thank you so much. And one down and quite a few more to go.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night.